You have something very important to do right now, but instead of doing it, you are watching this video. And don't worry, you are not alone. But here's what's different about today. I'm not going to tell you to just try harder. By the end of this video, you will stop calling yourself lazy, and you will understand exactly why that shift, counterintuitively, will make you more productive than any planner or schedule ever could. For decades, society has given us the same answer. You lack discipline. You need a better system. You need a stricter schedule. Self-help books, productivity apps, color-coded planners, and yet you are still here, watching this video instead of doing the thing. So either every productivity guru in history is wrong, or the problem runs much deeper than time management. It runs deeper. Dr. Piers Steel, a psychologist at the University of Calgary, spent over a decade analyzing more than 800 studies on procrastination. His conclusion was clear. Procrastination is not a time management failure. It is an emotion regulation failure. Let me show you exactly what that means and what is actually happening inside your brain right now. When you think about that important task, what do you actually feel? You don't feel bored. You feel overwhelmed. You feel the fear of failure. You feel the crushing weight of perfectionism. What if it's not good enough? What if I get stuck halfway through? What if people judge me? In that moment, the task is no longer just work. Your brain registers it as a threat. Deep inside the human brain, there is a structure called the amygdala. This tiny almond-shaped region evolved millions of years ago to protect us from predators. The moment it detects danger, it sends an immediate signal: escape, fight, or flee. Here is the problem. The amygdala cannot tell the difference between a lion chasing you and a deadline looming over you. To your brain, submit the report by Friday fires the same alarm as there is a predator behind you. So your brain does what it was designed to do. It searches for an escape, an immediate dose of dopamine to mute the signal. That is why you scroll. That is why you open YouTube. That is why you suddenly feel the urge to reorganize your desk. You are not being lazy. You are a biological survival machine doing exactly what it was built to do, running from pain. And here is where the trap becomes truly cruel. Escaping the task doesn't make the anxiety disappear. It makes it grow. While you are watching those videos, a voice whispers in the back of your mind, "You should be working. You're wasting time. Why can't you just do it?" The guilt builds, the shame increases. And when you finally put your phone down, you feel even worse than before you picked it up. Then the self-attack begins. I'm so weak. I have no willpower. I'm just not the kind of person who gets things done. And here is the psychological catch that most people never realize. The more you shame yourself, the stronger the negative emotion becomes. And when the negative emotion becomes stronger, your brain needs to escape again. So you reach for your phone again. You open another video. The cycle repeats. The shame creates more procrastination. The procrastination creates more shame. This is not a character flaw. This is a loop, and loops can be broken. Psychological research has identified 3 counterintuitive rules that people who consistently get things done actually follow. They are not what you expect. The first rule: forgive yourself. I know, it sounds too soft, too simple, but this is not motivational fluff. This is a result from a real study conducted at Carleton University in Canada. Researchers tracked a group of students who admitted to procrastinating before their first exam. They then split them into 2 conditions. One group was guided to forgive themselves for procrastinating. The other group was left to respond however they naturally would, which, for most people, means self-criticism. The results were striking. The students who forgave themselves were significantly less likely to procrastinate before the next exam. The self-critical group repeated the pattern. Why? Because shame is paralyzing, and self-compassion is mobilizing. When you remove the guilt, you remove the negative emotion that your brain is trying to escape from in the first place. When the emotion is gone, the urge to flee disappears with it. So the next time you catch yourself procrastinating, instead of saying, "I'm so pathetic," try saying this: "I procrastinated. That's okay. I'm human. I can start now." That single sentence begins to dissolve the cycle from the inside. The second rule: lower the bar. Perfectionism is the mother of procrastination. Think about why a blank page is so terrifying. It's not because writing is hard. It's because somewhere in your mind there is already an image of a perfect finished product. And the gap between that image and the blank page in front of you feels impossible to cross. So successful starters do something that feels almost wrong. They give themselves full permission to be terrible. Not, "I'll write a good first draft." I'll write the worst first draft imaginable. Psychologists call this the permission effect. The moment you allow a bad outcome, the psychological barrier to starting collapses almost entirely. And once you begin, something fascinating happens. Your brain recognizes that something exists now, and something that exists is infinitely easier to improve than something that doesn't. A bad draft can be edited, a blank page cannot. The goal is not to create something perfect. The goal is to create something. The third rule: make the starting line ridiculously small. When you tell yourself, "I'm going to work for 3 hours," your amygdala fires again. 3 hours feels like a mountain, and your brain responds the same way it always does, by running. So instead, try this. I'll just open the document. I'll just put on my running shoes. I'll just write one sentence. Just 3 minutes, that's all. This is not a trick. It is a neurologically validated principle. Behavioral scientists call it implementation intention, breaking a large, threatening goal into a single, tiny, non-threatening action. When the action is small enough, the brain no longer classifies it as a threat. It classifies it as routine. And then something almost magical happens. Most of the time, you don't stop after 3 minutes. That's because the human brain has a quirk called the Zeigarnik effect. Incomplete tasks create a kind of mental tension. The brain keeps returning to unfinished things, almost compulsively wanting to close the loop. Once you start, your brain begins working with you instead of against you. There is an old saying in fitness: the heaviest weight at the gym is the front door. The hardest part of any run is lacing up your shoes. The hardest part of any project is opening the file. Not the work itself, just crossing the threshold. You are not broken. You are not lazy. You are not just bad at getting things done. You are a human being with a brain designed to protect you from pain. A brain that sometimes mistakes a deadline for a predator. The shadow is not out there. It lives in the space between starting and not starting. And you don't defeat it with perfect discipline. You don't defeat it with a color-coded planner. You defeat it by forgiving yourself, lowering your expectations, and taking one single, ridiculously imperfect step. So here's your challenge before you close this video. You already know what the thing is. Just open the file. Just 3 minutes. That's all. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe.